Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. This is sort of a continuation from last week's live where I made these 4 ink blended pieces. Let me zoom in here. I'm really zoomed out. There we go. I'm going to be creating 4 cards using these 4 ink blend swatches. So if you have ever done any of my Christina's Oxide blends or any of these like kind of half, this is technically half of an A2 sheet of cardstock. So that would be A2 right there. If you've ever done any of these swatches and you're wondering, what can I do with that beautiful blended piece? I'm going to give you 4 different ideas. I'm just going to be pulling things from my stash, from my different products that I've released over the years, and we're going to create 4 cards. I even planned them out very roughly. Let's get going. Okay, so this first one, let me sit down so I can get comfy. Oh, hi, Leanne. Leanne is getting ready to go on a big trip. I'm surprised you're not like packing or something. But here we go. All right, for this very first one, I thought I would use the Simple Nested Hearts dies, the Easy Repeat Stitched Vines background, and the Everything Will Be Okay stamp set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to die cut my heart first so that I know exactly where I'm going to be placing the stamp. Actually, yeah, I will. I'll do this first and then I'll do the stamping. So I'm taking the largest heart from the Simple Nested Hearts dies, and I want to make sure I get, a little bit of the starfruit over here, or a little bit of the capri, and we've got quite a bit of that. I think that was Surfside in the middle. So we're just going to get that blend right there, and I'll just cut this out. In fact, you could even have it like this, a little off to the side. I do want a little more of that blue though. Just trying to get as much of the colors as I can. About like that. And then I'll just cut this with my die cutting machine. Hello over in the chat. Oh, Diana. Yeah. Leanne's packed already. Of course she is. Diana, are you packed too? I'm so sad I'm not going on this trip with you guys. All right, so here's the heart. And now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. We're going to do a background stamp and also the greeting on that heart. This card is going to come together so quickly because we already have that ink blending done. All right, I'm grabbing my MISTI. And I'm actually going to use the negative from the cardstock just to make sure that my cardstock doesn't move around while I'm doing my stamping. I'm just going to stick that in right there. And from the Everything Will Be Okay stamp set, there's a few different greetings in here that I think look really great inside this heart. I've done cards like this before, but I think I'm going to do, let's see, I think I'll do the Everything Will Be Okay. All right. Oh, Karen in the comments says, I mailed my first mail call submission for July, but don't think it will arrive on time. Said would get there Thursday. Feel free to just open it right. Okay, sounds good. For those of you who, in fact, I think only my members here at YouTube know this, but I'm going to be doing a live mail call on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. So I hope you'll come back and join me. All right, I think about like that looks good. I'm going to be using white embossing powder on this one. So I'm going to use some white pigment ink. Before I do that, I'll use an anti-static powder tool. I mean, I blended this cardstock like a week ago, so it should definitely be dry. But there's a part of me that's like, why are you tempting it? It could still be wet. I really hope it's not. All right. White pigment ink. Just press that down really well. I really like this heart die, this particular heart, because it's really chubby. So there's lots of space inside for a greeting. go. I'm going to do one more just to make sure I have a really good impression. Okay. Let's clean up this stamp before I move on, because I could just imagine that causing an issue down the road. Put that back on the stamp sheet. Oh, Diana, you'll have to have a spa day without me. I'm sure Lila will bring enough for everyone. Last year on our cruise, I was traveling with Diana and Liam that are in the chat right now. I don't know that I've seen Sika, but Sika was there too. And we were with Jennifer McGuire, her mother, Graham, and then her teenage daughter, Lila. And we did a little impromptu skincare with Lila. We made a little series of videos. You can watch them on my YouTube, or not my YouTube, but my Instagram in the highlights. They are, I have it in a highlight on my Instagram, and it was lots of fun. Oh, look at that. The only part that's sticking is where I was holding it with my fingers, so that's good. I can brush that off. Just use a dry, clean brush to brush any of that off. And then I'll use my heat tool, and I'm going to let it heat up off to the side before I bring it over so it doesn't warp the heart too much. Oh, Phyllis, I'm glad you got your card. That's awesome. Okay. Come in here and do my emboss. I could even do it from the bottom. Okay. Nice and smooth. Let that cool down a little bit. And believe it or not, we are almost done with our card. We're just going to do a background on the actual card front itself. So I have a folded note card here. I'll get out my MISTI again, and I'm going to stamp directly onto the card front. I'm going to use the Easy Repeat Stitched Vines background. And I'm going to have to get this kind of centered on the card. Now, this background stamp is just a sliver shy of the full height of the card front. So I'm planning to, I'll trim off just a tiny bit of the card front itself so that it will go edge to edge. I'm kind of thinking I want it over to the side a little bit to try to capture this heart. Now I'm going to put my die cut right there. So actually that heart won't even show. It won't matter. Okay. Think about it like that. All right, so I want this to be pretty subtle. I don't want it to like kind of overtake anything. So I'm actually going to do the background in Pebble. It's a very, very light kind of grayish tan from Concord and Ninth. Oh my word, Epic Bra. That's a funny name. Says, I've been watching your videos since I was 12. I'm now 23 and just found out I passed my pharmacist licensing exam. Congratulations. That's amazing. Love that. All right. You know what? This card is just popping up ever so slightly, and I'm concerned I'm going to get like a little double stamp. So I'm just going to use a little bit of temporary tape just to hold that closed. Now I'm going to ink up my stamp again because I'm paranoid. Okay, and I don't want to like really press down too hard. I just want to have like a really light hand, but make sure I go over each area on the card. Now Pebble ink looks almost green when you stamp it, but as it dries, it goes to a nice gray. All right, I've missed this little spot right here, so we'll press that down. Just these little spots that I'm missing, I'm coming back in. Okay, perfect. Clean up the stamp. And then we'll finish up the card. This is going to be a really, really simple card. All right, when I'm putting my background stamps back on their sheets, I put it face down on my MISTI so it doesn't move around. And then I can take the, like the stamp sheet, and I can start to get it kind of lined up in one corner and then press it down like that and then peel it up and it's back in its right spot. It really doesn't matter if it's not on there exactly, but it kind of bugs me when it's not. So I tend to try to do that. All right, and let's put this stamp back in its little pocket. We have a nice kind of subtle background here. Before I put my heart on the card, I'm going to trim off just the very top. So let's see, what trimmer do I want to use? I'm going to use my big mama trimmer. Is it weird that I'm calling it mama because it's a Tim Holtz trimmer? Maybe I should say big daddy trimmer. That sounds even more weird. I apologize, Tim. Okay. I'm going to bring it up here and just trim off just like 1/8 of an inch off the top. It probably really won't even, I won't be able to really tell. But I like to use this trimmer because it's really sharp and it cuts through both sides of the card really easily. Okay. All right. And then we're just going to put that right in the center and call it a day. It's going to be super easy. I'm going to grab some, let's see, foam tape here because that's a really big heart. I think it might be worth it to have some big foam tape. And I'll just, right there. And then we can come in right here. All right. There we go. There's our first card. Really simple and easy. I'm really letting the color from that ink blend take center stage because it's, you know, that's all it is. And my camera is very bright today. Hold on 1 minute. Let me see if I can take it down just a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit more true to life. There we go. Ta-da! All right, so there's the first card. Done in about 10 minutes. I'm not going to complain about that. All right, let's move on to the second card. This one has a little more die cutting involved. Nothing crazy, but yeah. All right, so this one has this, I think it was Capri Aster to Ballet Slipper. I think that's what it was. Could be totally wrong. But I thought I would use the Big Type Greetings 2 dies. And we're going to die cut out kind of like a window, like the shadow. And then we're going to have the inside popped up. So, and then we'll do this background stamp, kind of like we did with the last one. We'll just have it in a really subtle color in the background. So I will need to cut this Get Well Soon. I pre-cut 3 of them because I want them stacked. We'll cut that out of gold. But for now, I'm going to take the shadow and let's see, we're going to cut it out of this side and we're going to have it like this. And notice how with the spacing, there's kind of like this big space over here. From the depths of my craft room stash, I pulled out some pink and white baker's twine. And I thought I would just have that tied right there with a little bow. Just a little tiny, simple little detail there. Okay, so to get like a 2-for-1 out of this, I am going to cut the Get Well Soon, like the actual words, at the same time. This is also going to help me to make sure I have my shadow on here perfectly straight. Okay, I'm just trying to slide this over because I do kind of want it centered. There we go. I'm going to slide that up just a little bit. The whole thing needs to come down. Okay, does that look straight? I feel like it needs to go up just a little. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I feel like it needs to slide over. Like it's hard to get it just right. I'm being very picky. Okay. Nudge that up just a little bit. Okay, I feel good about that. Put my plate on and we will cut this out. Okay, hopefully this cut really well. We will see. All right, so the outer piece, and then we've got, oh, it looks like that cut really well. Okay, so there's the piece we're going to use on our actual card, but look what we have here. We have like a little border. I can get this to release. You have like a little tiny border you could use on a different card. Just all we need are the interior pieces. And then we've got this, if I can get it to come out. There we go. And then we've got that Get Well Soon, which we could use on a different card as well. So that can just go right in there. These little interior pieces I might need, so I'm going to make sure that those stay with that up there. And now I'm going to take the Get Well Soon, and I'm actually going to cut it out of gold. I thought it would be really cool to have the actual letters themselves cut out of gold instead of the really colorful kind of background. And I have this pet peeve that any gold metallic die cuts, when they're cut, this is some matte gold cardstock from Concord & Night. This is just a scrap I've got left. It really bugs me when I can see the little nubbies on the cutting. So I actually switch die cut machines when I'm doing my gold. So I'm going to be using the Gina K Intri-Cut machine. So right in here. And I have it on like practically the lowest settings. I have it all the way over to the loose side and then on die cut. And it's just enough to cut through the gold metallic paper. And it still looks really good. Okay. So I'm going to have that right there. I'll have the gold right there, and then I'll run this through. And it's going to cut the gold without leaving behind those little nubbies, which are so annoying. Okay. There we go. All right, do you see that? It's literally perfect. I'm so glad I figured out that I could, you know, to get rid of the nubbies, just gotta adjust the pressure on your machine. And as far as I know, the Gina K Intri-Cut is one of the only machines on the market that allows you to do that. So thank you, Gina. Gina did send me this machine months and months and months ago. In fact, I think I had it in my craft room for like 6 months before I broke it out. And then I had that gold metallic cardstock issue. And I was like, wait a minute, you know what would fix this? And then I had to break out her Intri-Cut. So her Intri-Cut machine's great for lots of different things, including embossing folders and, you know, other types of die cutting. But this in particular was why I wanted to keep it in my craft room. Okay, so I'm going to stack these really fast. And this is my favorite way of stacking die cuts. And if you've been watching me anytime in the last few years, you know exactly what I'm about to do. I'm going to grab my tweezers. I'm going to have those right here ready to go. And basically, I'm just going to add little dabs of glue. I'm not being super precious about it since these will be the bottom layers. I'm just making sure there's a little bit of glue on everything, on every little thing. So I'm going to add glue to all 3 white layers. And then I'm not going to add any glue to the gold layer because that's what's going to be on top. This glue will have enough slip to it that I can kind of manipulate the die cuts once they're all stacked together. Okay. So then I take the gold and I get that down there the best that I can. Then I'm going to stack this one and kind of move those into place. They're still wiggly and squishy with the liquid glue. And then I can pick up this last one. Okay, and that's how you can get like a super precise stacked die cut. Once you have that, then just put your little paperweight on top. Okay, so back to our lovely little deal right here. Actually, we're not going to do that yet. We need to do our stamping on the card itself with another background stamp. So I'm actually going to move this aside and we'll do some stamping. So the window in the colorful piece here is going to be right here. I think I only want the polka dot stamp to be from here down. So I'm going to do, well, I'm trying to decide. I just don't want the polka dots right there in the center. So I guess what I could do is put a little bit of masking tape over that area. Will that cover it? Almost all of it. Okay, so I'm just going to put that right there. And then I'll grab just a little bit more. I don't need a ton, just like right there, I think. Because this is going to go right over the top. Do you see that? I think I might want this a little bit lower. Okay, perfect. So now when I stamp my polka dots, I don't have to worry about it. I can just stamp and not have to worry about it running into anything. Okay, I'm going to grab my MISTI. And this time, instead of using Pebble, I'm going to be using another one of my favorite really pale inks, and that is Ballet Slipper. And that's because the pink on the ink blended piece is Ballet Slipper, so I thought that'd be a nice nod to the color that's already being used. So I've got a little bit of that temporary tape on the inside, and I'm using the Simple Dots background stamp. Hello, Sharon, who just came in a little bit ago. Lucy says someone recommended using a Faber-Castell Perfection eraser to get rid of the nubbies. Interesting. I might have to look into that. All right, so here we've got our polka dots going all the way across, and my Ballet Slipper ink. And I can just ink up the kind of top and bottom. I don't need to worry about that center area. Might need to stamp this a couple of times. Yeah, we've got a little bit, it's not hitting right there. All right, let's stamp that a second time just to get like really solid pink polka dots. Okay, that looks great. I don't mind that at all. I think that's going to be really, really cute. I think these polka dots, they almost make me think of like the dot texture on a Band-Aid. Did you guys remember those? So it kind of goes well with the get well soon, right? The blue tape that I just used is from Crafter's Essentials. It's the Easy C tape. If you look up Easy C tape, you should be able to find it. All right, so now I'll do my little polka dots. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to take the tape off. See if I can grab it. My nails are extra long right now, so I can't grab stuff like that. Okay, so I've got that center area that's nice and clean. I'm going to be putting this right there. And then I'll have my gold greeting like popped up right there in the middle. So I need to put this on some foam just to get it to pop up a little bit. So I've got a few of these little strips left from a previous project. I'll finish off these last two and then grab another sheet. Oh, thank you, Andrea, for putting that link in the chat for her. Oh, I almost forgot. We wanted to put some string around that. So let's lift up this foam here for a moment. And I think I just want a little bit of string. I'll just put that underneath, about centered. There we go. And I'll figure out that later after I've got it adhered down to the card. It'll be a little easier to tie it. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit more of this foam tape because I don't want any areas that are like sagging or falling down or whatever. Here's a new sheet of foam strips. Oh, I hate when I do that, when I pull it off and then the release paper comes all the way off. All right, be a little bit more strategic, Christina. Peel it up a little bit at a time so it keeps the release paper on there. That's what we like. Hi, Laura Ann. I'm not sure if you have notifications for my YouTube channel turned on or not. I know you won't get a text message or anything because you do have to pay for an extra service for that. But you might get an email. I think maybe the YouTube app, if you're logged in on your mobile phone, will send you a notification if you have notifications turned on as well. Other than that, I have no clue. Maybe someone in the chat will know. You have it on all notifications. Interesting. I don't know. I do know that YouTube notifications has had issues for years. People have been not getting them for a long, long, long time. So it's not a new issue. I wish they would fix it. Okay. So now onto the actual card front. And I think I'll grab a little T-square ruler that I can put down that will just help me get this adhered straight. About like that. Okay, and then now I can wrap these strings around. And then tie it in a bow. Okay, my little bunny ears wanted to twist around, so I'm going to kind of mess with it a little bit till I get it looking right. Think about that's good. In fact, I might even cut those tails even a little bit shorter. About like that. Okay, and then I just have to, well, press that down for sure. And then I'll put that gold die cut inside. So I'm going to push this bow off to the side for a minute, and using my tweezers, put some glue on the back. No, Laura, I'm not going to Italy with Jennifer. I have 4 family weddings this month. 2 of them are while they are traveling, while Jennifer and the crew are traveling. So I couldn't go. I'm really sad about it. Oh, crap. Well, that's one way to get rid of some of the extra glue. Make sure I don't put my card in that glue spot till I can clean it up. Now I don't have quite as much slip to really get this centered perfectly, but that's okay. I think I still have enough. Okay, I'll press that down and then wipe away all this glue. All right, so there is the second card. I've still got that little bit of tape inside. I might need that for another card, so I'm just going to save it. But here is the second card. Oh, it really, my camera really doesn't like that gold shining at it, does it? All right, so we have 2 cards done so far. Let's move on to the third. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing if I get all 4 done in an hour. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. I mean, granted, the ink blending was already done. So, I mean, I didn't do everything in an hour. Okay, so for the next card, we are using the You Are the Best stamps, and then the Jumble of Hearts. Was I going to do the stencil pack? I think I'm doing the stencil pack, not the stamp. I think I may have linked both in the supplies. But we're going to do the stencil on the background. So, and we're going to use, like in this particular stencil set, you can do all the hearts individually or you can do them together. Maybe I'm going to stamp this. I don't even remember. No, let's stencil it. No. Yeah, we're going to stencil. We'll stencil. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside and bring over my grip mat. Lovely. I have the card front. And look at that. I need it glued down, just like I anticipated. Okay, so I'll just put this down. And then I'm going to put my heart background, which has a little something on it. I don't know what that was. Put that down right over the top. Kind of hold that in place. And the color I'm choosing for the ink blending is powder. So I'm just going to do a really soft ink blend going up. Actually, you know what? I changed colors here. What? I've mixed up my pieces. I'm not doing this blue one for this one. I'm using this one, and I am doing the stamp. I'm like, what is happening? I swear I wasn't using this stencil. I'm not. Okay, I am going to use the stamp. Come out, little stamp. Okay, this is for a different card. We'll come back to that. But I am using that, I will be using that greeting stamp, this one. I'll use that in a minute. For now, I'm going to do some heart stamps, and I wanted it to have like this free open edge up here at the top. So that's why I want to do the stamp versus the stencil. Man, I was confused there for a minute. Okay, so put that in my MISTI. Hi, Laura. Yes, it's on the 9th. All of Concord and Ninth's releases are on the 9th of the month. So that's how you can always remember, because it's Concord and 9th. Okay. And let's see, I might need to move this because I want it to be, let's see, probably about right there. Okay. Uh-oh. I picked up the whole card. Go back down. I have to do that. Kind of hold it in place the best I can. Now I'm going to be using Pebble again for just like a really soft color in the background. So I'll just do this, and it's probably going to be not the best stamping at first. We'll see how well it does. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be pretty splotchy. Not completely terrible, but not really the best either. So I'm going to stamp again. Okay. All right, so this will dry back quite a bit. I think I'll probably take photos of the cards tomorrow morning. So hopefully in about 12 hours, it will have dried back and you'll be able to see how light it is. So you won't get the full effect tonight while I'm live, but you'll see it soon. Okay, so put that back on the stamp sheet. Put it back with the stencil that it matches. And then we have more stamping to do. So I'm going to set that to the side. And this is the inked piece from last week. I think this was Berry Kiss, Pimento, and Buttercup. Let's think about that for a minute. So I'm going to use a greeting from the You Are the Best stamp set. I thought this You Are the Best would be great because it's nice and tall and would fill up a lot of that space. So I'm thinking I'll do the You Are the Best and then put those 3 dots just right at the bottom. And then I'll cut it off so it's just a little bit more narrow. All right, so just so it's away from the edge here and I'll get a better stamp, and I'm going to cut off the side anyway, I'm going to have it off to the right side. And I can have my little hearts down here kind of right in the center. Yeah, I think that looks nice. About just like that. Lovely. I was thinking of having this stamped in or heat embossed in gold, but I think I'm going to do white again because I think it'll look really nice against that really colorful background. So I'm going to prep the area with an anti-static powder tool. And then using white pigment ink once again, wherever I stashed that. What did I do with the white pigment ink? It's hiding. So I'm using white pigment ink since I'm going to use white embossing powder. Okay, I used Pebble ink for the background because once the Pebble ink dries, it will be a very pale kind of grayish tan color. And I want it to play second fiddle to this very colorful greeting, basically. So I purposely want to make sure that nothing else on the card is super colorful. I mean, you could also have done it in, one of the colors from the ink blending, but I wanted it to really kind of almost fade in the background. Okay. Clean up those stamps. And then I'll do my heat embossing. Okay. Got my Alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. And I'll just sprinkle this on. Give that a good little tap. Let it start to stick to everything. All right, and I'm going to hold this with my tweezers. Well, first I'm going to make sure my tweezers are clean. Then I'm going to hold it with my tweezers while I do my heating. Okay. All right, I'm going to let that cool off. Laura's asking what baby wipes I use. I use the Kirkland wipes from Costco. When is the next mail call? This Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, got that all cooled off. I have a little bit of the anti-static powder kind of hanging out here. So I'm going to take a microfiber cloth and just wipe this down, and it's going to take off any of that extra anti-static powder that's hanging out. All right, I have a scrap, you know, from when I was doing the ink blending before, and I just want to get a good idea of where this would be when it's centered. And I'm going to take my pencil and just draw a line down right there. And this is going to help me know where to cut with my paper trimmer. I could have also just done it with an X-Acto knife, but I'll just take this over to my paper trimmer. Actually, here is the little guy, the little Tim Holtz tonic one. And I can just bring this in right here. Get it kind of lined up. I'm making sure it's also straight on this one edge according to the grid. And there we go. I also could have figured that out, what that measurement was, and then cut it first and then stamped, but this worked well. Okay. So there is that. And then I'm just going to be putting this right in the center and calling it a day. Easy card. Even easier than some of the other ones. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of this foam that I have left over. I don't think I linked to this foam down in the video description, so I'll have to add that when we're done here. But this is foam from Amazon, from a brand at Amazon. I've been trying other wide foam tapes, and there's something about this one. It's my favorite. I don't know why. I think it has a little more stick than some of the others I've used as of late. Okay. Y'all, I don't think we're going to get it within an hour, all 4 cards, because this last one I think is a little more involved, but not bad at all. I'm going to use that same, well, I used the A2 version of this earlier, but I'm going to use the A7 now. I just really want to get this straight. Okay. Straight enough. It's a little off to one side, but that's okay. All right, so there is card 3. So now we have these 3 cards done. Let's do a 4th. The 4th one is a little bit more involved. So let's get going here. All right, so back to my grip mat for some stenciling. Actually, I need to put this Get Well die away before I lose where it was supposed to go. All right, so back on my little magnet sheet. There we go. Okay, so back to my grip mat, and I'm going to grab my note card. Put a little bit of that Easy See tape on the inside to keep that closed. And then I'm going to do some ink blending. So this time I'm going to be using some products that came out a few months ago. I'm using the Big Day Birthday bundle, basically. So I'm going to start with the stencil pack. I'm going to be using the full design stencil. So it's the one that has everything on it. And we'll just put, I'm not going to go up past like halfway. Actually, I think I will do the full thing. Let's do the full thing. Okay, press that down. This is the color. These are the colors we're working with today. I'm going to ink blend with powder. I believe powder was what was over here. So we'll start with powder. And I'm going to do like just really soft ink blend. And my blending brush has lots and lots of blue on it. So I'm thinking I better ink blend off on some scratch paper. But it's okay if I've got a really bright blue. It'll be fine. Okay. And I'm going to sit down for this. Oh, thank you, Sarah. This is that same red that I had on my nails last week, but it's just all my nails this time. Okay, so I'm going to come in from the bottom. And we just want like a really, really soft blend. I'm kind of changing directions. We want more color at the bottom than the top. My stencil has decided to move. Okay, so just really, really soft blending up here at the top. It almost looks like it's not going to do anything, but once I take away the stencil, you'll be able to see it. Okay. Yeah, it's almost darker than I was thinking it would be. Okay, so then that'll go across the top there, or kind of across the middle, I should say. And let's peel this up, clean off the grip mat, and then clean the stencil. Okay, and then as far as the stencil goes, I like to spritz it with some rubbing alcohol. And I do it like away from my work area, just off to the side. Where did my little microfiber cloth go? Where'd you go? There he is. Then I can just wipe that down. Okay. And I can put this stencil back in its packaging. Okay. All right, next up, we're going to do some, well, I've got some die cutting to do. Some more gold die cutting, actually. So I have the Happy die that I've already cut out 3 times out of just white. And then we're going to have another Happy in gold right on top. And I'm hoping I can use one of these scraps of gold I've got going here. I'm not sure if it'll be large enough. Nope. Ooh, this one would be though. Right across the top. Whenever I have to cut frames or anything like that, I always keep the cardstock because odds are I might be able to use it. All right, so now I'm going to grab that Gina K Intri-Cut again. Okay. Just put that right there. And ooh, that looks like it might slide a little bit. So I might use a little bit of tape to hold it in place. That same Easy C tape. I'll just tape that right there and run that through. Okay. Oh, looks like I barely cut it just right. I'll take it. All right. So we're going to stack those again. So we have the, come out of the die, please. Come on. Hoping I can just throw it and it'll, there we go. Sometimes it cooperates, sometimes it doesn't. You just don't ever know. All right, I'll put that right there, back on the die sheet. And then we're going to do that same kind of stacking method for these. I'm going to use my tweezers just to hold that down. I'm adding really small little dabs of glue. Making sure that at like each of the points that are kind of by themselves, like the bottom of the letter P and the descender on the Y and the little ends, I'm making sure those are in the right spot. You know what? I kind of want to stack this one at a time, just so I have a little more chance of getting this lined up just right, just because there's these little wispy ends. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Then we'll put some glue dots, some little dabs of glue on this piece. Then we'll put the third one on. Okay, anywhere where there's like glue kind of squidging out, I'm trying to catch with my tweezers. It'll just give me a cleaner result at the end. Okay. And then a little bit more glue, just so we can attach the gold layer. We'll put that on. I'm using my fingers to kind of guide it into place. Okay. And then just like I did before, I'm actually going to put my paperweight on top, and I'm going to put it a little bit off camera up here so that we can move on. Okay, I need to stamp a secondary greeting. Okay, so here's the plan. It's going to be happy birthday and then have a secondary greeting right underneath. So, and I got basically this arrangement. So it's going to be happy birthday and then cue the confetti. So I'm going to have the birthday stamped and heat embossed in white. We can't do that yet because our die cut's not completely dry, but we can stamp the cue the confetti on black cardstock. Now I have some like random scraps of black cardstock from when I cut pieces of black cardstock for my stencil packaging. So actually, no, I have a different piece of black cardstock. Hold on. No, that'll work. This one will work. I'm gonna have to cut it down so it fits in the MISTI though. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna stamp this and then do some heat embossing on top. Gotta move our little die cut off to the side. All right, so in the stamp set, there are lots of different options you've got going. You could do Let's Celebrate. I think I want to do Cue the Confetti. Here's a little tip about Costco. If you want to, like, you didn't hear this from me, okay? If someone gives you a gift card from Costco, Costco will let you go in and redeem the gift card by purchasing items, even if you do not have a Costco membership. I've heard that happening. I'm just saying. Or if you have a friend that has a Costco membership, that's even better. Okay. I'm going to use the die that's in the die set to cut this out. So I'm just going to get that on there. I'll use my anti-static powder tool. And then I'm going to use, I think I actually want this in gold. So I'm going to use Lisa Horton Cloud 9 Solid Gold ink, just because I'm going to be using gold embossing powder on top. This is a very dainty font, so I don't want to press it too hard. In fact, it doesn't really even show that much right now on this black. But in person, I can see it. Okay. Put this back on the stamp sheet. And I can pick this up and we'll do the gold embossing powder. All right, this is Gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. Just tapping this, making sure it kind of has an opportunity from all angles to pick up. There we go. All right, I'll use my heat tool just to heat set this, and I'm going to do it from the bottom with these dainty fonts. Sometimes it heats better that way. Getting that really dry, or not dry, but cool. And then we'll take our black microfiber cloth and just get rid of all this extra anti-static powder. We have to make sure it's nice and cool. And the microfiber cloth picks up all that extra powder. So now I'm going to use the dies to cut out the little strip. There's a die in the die set that will do that. So as I put it on my die cutting sandwich, I want it at an angle. I just find that it cuts a little bit better so that when it's fed into the die cutting machine, that it goes in at an angle. Okay. Put that through. And then we have a nice little strip all cut out. Love that. All right, so the last thing we need to do is stamp the actual birthday word. And we're going to heat emboss that as well. Or actually, I'm tempted just to die cut it. Maybe we should just die cut it. It's not a bad idea. But it'll just be one layer because the, what's the word? The happy is going to go on top. So let's die cut it. I think it'll be a little bit more solid than if we heat embossed it. And we can also mess with like where it's positioned. So like I did before, I'm going to put this through at an angle. Okay. I do love this particular suite of products because there's a stamp or a die for every single large greeting. So you do have lots of options. Okay, so there's the birthday. And now we can start putting the card together. So we might even have to cut this little portion down as well. So maybe I don't want to adhere it to the card quite yet. Okay. So it's going to be happy birthday and then cue the confetti like right below it. It also makes me wonder, could I turn it and have the happy? Now that everything's on die cuts, I probably could. Happy birthday and then cue the confetti. Huh. No, I think I like it the other way around. But do I want the happy kind of hanging off the top a little bit? Or do I want it all the way down in? I think I could do it all the way in and have it kind of centered. Okay. Let's put the cue the confetti on a foam strip here and get that in place, and then that will help determine where everything else goes. So I'm using just a really narrow strip of foam. Okay. Thinking like right there. Yeah, that's pretty centered. Move this out of the way, and then we'll put the birthday kind of right above it. Okay. I'm just going to dab this off to get rid of some of that extra glue. And then get that on there. Then we can put the happy right on top. It's kind of off to the right side, just a tiny bit. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut the card just like 1/8 of an inch, and I'm also going to take like 1/8 of an inch off this edge, just because I think I'll feel better about it if I do that. So give me 1 minute. I'm just going to take a little sliver off the side. I need to take a little more off. Okay. Yeah, that's a little more centered now. And then this is going to go over top right here. And that's how much card I need to cut off. So like, my word, that's not even 1/8 of an inch. It's like 3/32 of an inch. Like it's the teeny tiniest amount. So I'll just take that off the edge of the card. Let's see here. Yeah, about like that. I was eyeballing it, so I hope it's pretty close. Yeah, that works. And then we can put this right on top like that. I like that. I might even add like, I don't know, I'm considering adding white dash lines just to make it look a little finished. So let's adhere this. I think it could go straight down onto the card front. So let's just put some tape runner on the back. Just because that happy word is very, whoa, hello, very dimensional, put it that way. Okay. That's probably even a little higher than I had planned to put it, but that's okay. Then we'll put that happy right up there at the top. Okay. Adding some little dabs of glue. And I'll just do what I did before, get rid of some of that excess glue. And then I can come in, place this just right on top. Love that. Okay, and just because I cannot help myself, we're going to do some white dash lines. Right? Just right at the edge, because why not? I think of the 4 cards I've made tonight, this is the one that's taken the longest. It's the one that has the most individual elements that I had to pull together. Okay, do I want them at the side? No, I think I want it just like that. Oh, Ken, that's exciting. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so here's the final card. Let me zoom out and let's look at all 4. All right, so here are all 4 cards made tonight using those ink blended pieces from last week. Just some different things to do with all of those ink swatches that you might have on hand. And I even have some extras. I've got the Get Well Soon as well as the kind of outlined piece from it, which I think would look really, really pretty on a separate card. So thanks so much for joining me tonight. Are there any other questions over in the chat? Dawn's going to go play some Mahjong. Love it. I was in a mini Mahjong tournament on Friday. I was nowhere near the winner, but I did better than I thought I would. So that's always good. All right, I'm going to do a quick spiel for those watching the edited replay. If you have any questions, put them in the chat now so that I can find them when I'm done with my little spiel. Thanks. Okay, here we go. So here are the 4 cards all finished for tonight. Just some different ideas on how you can use those smaller ink blended pieces that you might have for practicing ink blends or different color combinations or things like that. So these turned out really cute. I love the different mix of products on each one. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you on Wednesday in 2 days, or you're watching the edited version, so this will be tomorrow for you. Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm going to be opening up the mail. We're going to do live mail call, and I'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Okay. All right, so I'm scrolling up. I think I saw a question fly by. Question, how do I store my white pens? Generally, they are all horizontal. Like they're in a drawer, like in a little, like a little divider, like a little plastic bin, but they're stored horizontally. And that really has worked well for me over the years. Let's see here. Andrea says 45 minutes for ink blending plus 75 minutes for construction. Not bad for pro cards. That's true. Last week, I don't even think it was 45 minutes. I think it was like 35 minutes for all the ink blending. And then I answered some questions at the end. So maybe 100 minutes altogether. That's kind of crazy. Like an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. That's crazy. Okay. Stephanie says the birthday card is my favorite. I think that might be my favorite too. Although I do really like the You Are the Best one. I like that one too. Lori's asking, are the in-person games different than on the app, like for Mahjong? It depends on what app you're speaking of. Some Mahjong apps out there are just like matching the tiles. For actual, like an actual Mahjong game, the digital versions on apps do mimic an in-person game very closely. You're obviously playing against the computer, or you might be playing against other people who were on their phones or computers. But it mimics actual gameplay rather well. Yeah, just that, I want to clarify, like the app, By the way, there is one called the Mahjong app. Let me see if I can find it. So you can see it. This is it, the Mahjong app. It's free. And it has this whole learn to play section. I've never gone into it, but yeah. So like you can see my stats on and there's like a series of games. You play like a 10 game series with the same 4 players. But anyway, that's the app I use when I'm playing on my phone. If I'm playing on my computer, I use ilovemaj.com. But anyway, question. How do I add to my wish list on the C9 website? Can't find the button anymore. Oh, I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I have no idea. I think you might have to email Concord and Ninth, or even go to their like Color Club Facebook group and maybe ask it there. I think people might have an answer for you. I love this. It just took me 4 hours to make 1 card, ink smushing included. You know what? Valid. I have done that as well. Sometimes it just takes longer, like you can't rush perfection, right? All right. Have a lovely day, everyone. I just saw that Lucy learned how to play Mahjong. Congrats. I love it. I hope you're as hooked as I am. Everyone have a lovely week. I will see you Wednesday night for live mail call, opening the mail, looking at everyone's cards. I can't wait for you to see all the cards that have come in. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope I'll see you on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.